Yes.
So in our session on breaking the law, we thought to come out from our regular routines. Do our society allow this?
What's your name?
Sorry.
Saurabh. It's Saurabh. Saurabh, how old are you? 20. Most of you here would be between 18 and 21 years of age. You are not 8 years of age and you are not 80 years of age, right? You are neither 8 when you don't have your brain cells yet fully made, when you are yet dependent upon everybody else, neither you are 80 yet when you don't have any physical vigor or stamina left. You are young, right? You like to call yourself young. Is that a question a young man should ask? Is that a question a young man should ask? Will the society allow me? Your facilitator last semester, Aranya, would have surely recommended one particular book to many of you, The Fountainhead.
Yes, sir.
Right? Many of you. And just a few amongst you might also have read it. The protagonist there, Howard Roark, he is a student in an architecture college, fiercely individualistic, fiercely. He is about to be expelled from his college because he would not subscribe to the type of designs being recommended by his professors. He says, no, all that is outdated. Today, different kinds of designs for buildings are needed. So there is this conversation between him and the dean. He has been expelled, but the dean has called him in his office to give him another chance. He thinks that Roark will come and submit apologies, and the dean will get a chance to forgive him, and take him in again, because Roark is otherwise a very talented student. Now when Dean is talking to Roark, Roark is totally non-submissive. So Dean asks him, for all that you are saying, who will allow you to build these crazy designs? The Dean thinks that the designs made by Roark are crazy, that they are impractical, that they are ahead of the times. So the Dean is looking at the designs made by Roark and he says, who will allow you to build these designs? Roark says, that is not the question. Pay attention to these words. He is a student like you. Roark says, that is not the question that who will allow me. The question is who will stop me. And that I call a young man. Him I call a young man who says it is not a question whether society will allow me or not. The question is who will stop me? Who can stop me? And only people like Roark cannot be stopped. Because they are so sure that they cannot be stopped. Because they know that they cannot be stopped. Because they know that they would rather die than stop. But when a young man gets up and asks me, will society allow me? You have already declared the force of society over you. You have already declared that you are afraid of the society. Who is the society? Where is the society? Show me the society. One of you sitting here is an individual. When a crowd assembles here, it starts calling itself a society. What is there to be afraid of? What are you afraid of? And if you are afraid today, when will you give up fear? When will you give up fear? But I tell you why you are afraid. You are afraid because society is collectivism. People collected together. And you deeply believe in that. Even when at this moment I am talking of fierce individuality, I can see at least 5 of you, not with yourself but with your neighbor. And I blame not those who want to chit chat. I blame those who are willing to lend their ears to their neighbor. They have already lost the battle with their society. The battle with society, the battle for being myself, has already been lost on those who cannot tolerate being alone with themselves. Rock is very contented with himself and himself alone. And that is why he deserves to be the protagonist of that novel. What do you think? This is what Rock does when he sits in a gathering, when he sits in a lecture or in a seminar or in a Samvad event. He would be chatting with others. That's what he does? No, not really. Why think about society at all? Who can stop you? Who can stop you unless you are prepared to be stopped? And why are we prepared to be stopped? Because we have entered into a fictitious kind of contract with the society. You are not afraid of the society. You are afraid of letting go of your privileges, your emoluments. Your self-worth comes from the society, so you are afraid of the society. That what happens if the society takes away my self-worth? The society has given you your name, it gives you a certain respect, it gives you all your identities. You are afraid that the society can take all of them away. You have entered into a business contract with society. That is the reason why you are afraid. You are taking so much from them. You don't want this to stop. You want to keep taking from them. Students often come to me and say, well, across campuses, they would come to me and say, sir, this is what we want to do. हम ये करना चाहते हैं, हम वो करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन घर वाले नहीं करने देते. मतलब यहाँ पे होता ही नहीं. It was under the pressure of such and such persons that I am here, and now I want to do this. I really think that I love that field, but I am not really being allowed. And if there are people in the fourth year, they'll come up and say, well, we are EC students, but we are being pressurized to take software jobs, and we do not want to do that. And I asked them, why do you feel the pressure? It is all right if another person wants to exert the pressure, but why do you feel the pressure? And I'll tell you why they feel the pressure. They feel that pressure because all the time they are benefiting from a lot that they are taking from others. I've been a student of IIT and IIM, and a very significant number there studies on education loans. Very significant number. Not that their parents are beggars and cannot afford their education, but they prefer to take education loans. But I have not been across to any PTU college where more than a quarter are studying on education loans. How many over here are studying on education loans? Again, not more than a quarter. See, the statistic holds good. It is further affirmed. When you are taking lakhs and lakhs from a person, now can you really think of freedom from society? Are there any free lunches in life? And then you come and cry and weep and put up miserable faces and say, oh, we are slaves, we are bonded. You have chosen to be bonded. The same fellow who is a shopkeeper and will not give a ₹2 discount, a 2 rupee discount to anybody, do you think that fellow can give 10 lakhs and forget it? The mind is the same, right? The mind is the same. From the customer, it will extract cash. From others, it will extract in time, if not in cash. But the extraction will happen, and that is the reason why you are afraid. Because there is a lot that you are taking. When I was studying, the regimen, the study regimen at IIM Ahmedabad is the toughest amongst all business schools in the world. I'm not talking of India. Amongst all business schools in the world. Just Google and you will come to learn what does it mean to be competing in that campus. And even when I was there, I ensured that I was earning for my monthly expenditures by going and teaching. So I would teach in a few CAT coaching institutions. I would even teach as a visiting faculty in another MBA institution. And from that money that I would earn, I would take care of my monthly expenses, and I would even use a part of that to go to Gandhi Ashram, which is in Ahmedabad, and buy something. Once or twice in the week I would go there, and I love to be engaged with the kids. So a thing or two, pencil, pen, something to eat. Now when I am doing that, I am totally on my own. And of course, it was uncomfortable. Of course, there was a price to be paid. Of course, I needed to be more efficient with my studies so that I can find out time for that as well. But that gave me freedom. Because freedom was dear to me. Now, is freedom dear to you? I am talking of a campus that has an absolutely packed, tight schedule. And look at your university. Out of the 52 weeks in a year, actually the number of working weeks will be no more than 25 or 30. When we are doing our HIDP, in fact we find it difficult to complete even a 10 weeks program per semester. 20 weeks in a year is difficult to eke out. There is this much of free time available to you. And what do you do with that free time? Do you use that to secure your freedom? No, you don't use it for that. You squander it away with others like you. Is freedom really important to you? If it is important to you, you will secure it, you will get it. Do you love being free? Are you really a free bird? No, you have accepted slavery long back. And then you complain, and then you put up miserable faces. That won't do. These are masks. The one who wants it, gets it. Yes, speak. Yes, somebody.
You have said that you should remove all your masks, but if you remove the mask, our weaknesses will be open to all. So they can use them for exploiting us. So how would be beneficial after removing our mask?
What's your name? Paras. Who told you that a particular way of behaving or being is a weakness? Who told you that anything is a weakness? Who told you that there are parts or shades of your being that are unworthy? All of this has been drilled deeply into you. None of this has any authenticity to it. But you have been repeatedly told that you are incompetent, unworthy, and you need to hide your weaknesses. There is no weakness. There is no question of hiding anything. What you are calling as a weakness is your own being. This is what you are. And if somebody calls it a weakness, tell him, take it or leave it. I am a package, a complete package. I can't hide one part of myself. Who told you that weaknesses exist? Who told you that? Others. And the same others then teach you to also hide your weaknesses. Don't you see that the entire question is full of fear and insecurity? Sir, अगर मैंने अपनी weakness उनको दिखा दी तो वो मेरा शोषण करेंगे. Don't you see you are already terrified? Of whom? Of others. Why have you created this monster? Why have you created this monster? All of you would have written down something on those sheets of paper. But very few of you would dare to get up and speak, even though those questions are your questions and they are important questions. But you will not get up and speak. Why? Because you are afraid of others, and these others happen to be your own friends. You are terribly scared how to rise and speak. You are terribly scared. Last time I was here, I spoke, and as I was then moving over to my vehicle, many of you came over. Sir, give us a couple of minutes. There is something I need to ask. And they asked beautiful questions, genuine inquiries. And I asked them, why didn't you raise this when we were there, when everyone might have benefited from it? They just hang down their heads. We didn't dare to. And as I'm speaking to you, you know whom I'm referring to. So many of you want to ask a question but won't do it because you are afraid of revealing so-called weaknesses. अगर मैंने ये सवाल पूछा तो सबको पता चल जाएगा कि मेरी कमजोरियां क्या हैं. मैं कैसे पूछ लूं 100-200 लोगों के सामने कि मुझे बोलने में डर लगता है, मैं क्या करूं? मैं कैसे पूछ लूं 100-200 लोगों के सामने कि I hate this life that I am living, what do I do? You are not even living. You are just afraid, and it is so sad, so disappointing. One of the worst sights is to look at a young man or a young woman who is not sure of himself or herself, who does not dare to live life according to his own intelligence. There are no weaknesses. There are no weaknesses. There is just you. You in your completeness, you in your entirety. Do not think that some part of you is strong and the other part of you is weak. Do not think. What happens when you declare something a weakness? You suppress it, don't you? You try to hide it. And whatever you suppress gains in strength. Whatever you suppress gains in strength. You would have noted that in the HIDP sessions, the students who are the least comfortable with coming up and speaking are also the ones who miss the maximum classes. They are also the ones who, when given a chance to speak, would shy away and stand at the back. They are also the ones who would take up the smallest roles in the role plays. Because you do not want to reveal your so-called weaknesses, those weaknesses become more and more powerful. The moment you look at it, and you cannot look at it till the time you are calling it a weakness, till the time you are declaring it to be ugly, you will not be able to look at it. Who likes to look at ugliness? Who likes to look at his own ugliness? The first thing is stop calling it a weakness and look honestly, directly at it. And let it be. Just let it be. Don't even try to fight it. Let alone suppress it. And in that looking will be the overcoming of the so-called weakness. The weakness will not go away. Your attitude about it will go away. Is it clear to at least some of us? Yes?